Hello and welcome to another Oxygen XML live webinar. My name is Alim Bellu, and as always, I am your host for today's live event, Engaging SMEs in Documentation Review. This event was long time in the making, and for this, I am joined by my colleague, the creator and presenter of today's webinar, Mihai Kwanda, software developer at Syncrosoft, the company that develops the Oxygen XML suite of products. And with him, we will dive into how Oxygen Content Fusion can elevate your documentation review process by ensuring SMEs remain engaged, feedback is efficiently integrated, and your documentation reflects the highest technical standards. So let's not waste any more time. And let me remind everyone that is joining us today that this event is being recorded, and you will find the recording along with Mihai's presentation slides in the following days on our site, oxygenxml.com, and the video recording will also be uploaded on our YouTube channel, Oxygen XML. Another important aspect of today's event is that as we go along, we encourage you to ask us questions by using the GoToWebinar interface, where we have our team standing by to answer your questions. So we are also joined by Christian Talot, and he will be answering your questions in real time. So don't hesitate to ask us any question regarding our today's subject, engaging SMEs in documentation review. So without further ado, I introduce you to Mihai Kwanda. Hi, Mihai.
Hello, nice to be here. This webinar is focused on the importance of engaging the SMEs in documentation review. Today I will try to highlight the importance of an accurate documentation, the dangers of an inaccurate one, and how the SMEs can work together with content authors to make sure that the documentation is accurate and helps users of the product discover what they need. Okay, basically the documentation plays a large role in the success of a product. Capability and clarity equals value. So basically, the end users can use the documentation to get a better grip on the product, to discover its features. So it boosts its adoption and retention. So with this in mind, I want to highlight the risk of an inaccurate documentation. Depending on the nature of the product, it can start from misuse and safety hazard, escalated support costs. If the user don't get around the product, a lot of support threads appear, and they can get up to financial and legal exposures. So good documentation is achieved by the collaboration of SMEs and content authors. They have critical skills that together can help shape a documentation correctly describing the product, enhancing the user experience, and creating a brand trust. It catches the errors, so nothing misleading gets to the end consumer. It speeds up the updates. So it is a long focus of the documentation team to include the SMEs into this review cycle. But unfortunately, the currently used methods are quite outdated. They are hard to get around with. I have a list of different methods that I heard along the time that some companies use, like Word documents with track changes, PDF annotation, email threads, bug tracker issues. And to be honest, we had the same challenge. Being a software company, I as a SME would often need to check the documentation, but due to the lack of time, it was always in the last place of my priorities. And this was a hurdle both for me as a subject matter expert, as for my colleagues working in the documentation department, because it was hard to get a hold of to review the documentation. For me as a SME, the biggest hurdles were the cumbersome tools or processes, the lack of them, or there were access permissions. For example, I did not have access to make changes directly to documentation. I lacked the skill to make production-worthy changes. I have limited time. My main job is to develop software features. The documentation part is a second place. So I was wondering if you would like to share what is the biggest hurdle that your SMEs face. My colleague will post a poll with these options. If the hurdle you encounter is not in these 4 options, you can specify an answer in the questions view. I'm quite interested in hearing what you have. Aline, can you share the poll?
Yes, it's ongoing right now. We will wait for a couple of seconds and then I will close it.
Okay. The involvement of the SME in the documentation review is not a hurdle just for the SME. It's also a hurdle for the content author, especially when they need feedback on the same content from multiple SMEs. They have to track each feedback and consolidate them. There were multiple review cycles. They need to chase the SMEs for any feedback. They need to remind us that, hey, you failed to send me the review of this content. And that was especially a pain point during the release periods like we are in now, because due to the multiple review cycles sometimes required on some complex features, this asynchronous feedback methods, for example, we used Jira in the old days, took a lot of time until the review was polished and production worthy. And so when we were working on releases, it was often a high load for the documentation team. This is another aspect I'm interested in your experience. What are the biggest hurdles your content author face when trying to validate the content of the documentation involving the SMEs? My colleague Aline will also show a poll on this. Also, if none of these 4 options match your current situation, you can specify another answer in the questions view. We will leave the poll for a bit more time and then go over it. Okay, you can continue answering the poll. I will continue. Okay, I'm missing the time here. So these hurdles, as previously said, were what we experienced in the development of the products and the documentation that Synchrosoft offers. So it was easier for us to develop a product targeted at overcoming the challenges that the outdated review method faced. So the main things that we identified and wanted to offer a solution was the document format. A lot of our clients mentioned that they would use alternative formats like Word, PDF, text, Jira, messages, content, and so on to achieve this review. And especially when the review cycle needed to restart because the content was not yet production worthy, it was a lot of overhead for the content author to handle this transformation between format types. So basically, this was the first issue that we needed to resolve. We already had uh, the Oxygen XML Web Author as a web editing product that was very easy to use for a user that did not have the knowledge of the underlying technology. For example, let's say DITA. But this was still the problem was still huge because it still needed multiple instances of each document sent to each reviewer and then merged together. So we decided to find a solution for that. And the only solution that we found easy enough was to offer real-time collaboration, something that users are very familiar with text-based editors like Microsoft Word or Google Docs. So we achieved this concurrent editing, we call it. That was we achieved it on XML formats. So this review to have the review done directly on the source format became a reality. So we had a single source of truth with this. We nowhere zero format conversion. All the iterations were faster. No need for type conversions, and it also provided an accurate context for the snippet being reviewed or the document and so on. These review tasks, the solution with the review tasks that Content Fusion offers also needed to respect the access control to resolve the access control issue, as we did not I as a subject matter expert did not have access to directly commit on the documentation. So these review tasks have a very granular access control. The owner creates a review task, shares it either with with direct assignment naming each SME that they need review from, or if they want, they can, or with a shareable link. And also offer co-ownership of the task if multiple authors need to participate in the review part. I will try to show you this. So I will use our demo deployment for this. Log in with my Google account. And I will create, using the Oxygen editor, I have the Content Fusion Task Manager already installed. And I will connect to the evaluation server. I'll authorize it. And now I can create, for, let's say I have some changes on multiple documents that before committing them to the production, I need the content reviewed by a subject matter expert. I'll drag the files to the task manager, and it automatically picked up the data context, the forest data map, and I will upload the files to be reviewed. Now, this takes a snapshot of the current state of the files and uploads them to the instance for review. As previously mentioned, now users can share the review task with subject matter experts of interest. This being a demo deployment, the autocomplete is disabled. I cannot type the username. I will need to provide the full email, but being a demonstration, I can just share with anyone with the link. I copy the link and I will share it with the test user. I have here another instance opened with another user, Jane Doe, that is a subject matter expert. And now I have access to the review task as the subject matter expert. The main thing is the collaborative review, as it has concurrent editing active. Multiple users can access the same document in the same time and make changes to it. As you can see, all the changes are live, and you can respond to changes that a colleague is doing in real time, including, I don't know, let's say I make a comment, I add a comment that is automatically synced, so the user can reply to it. Besides the access to the content itself, these review tasks offer the content author also full control on how the subject matter experts contribute to the documents. They can, we call the feature is called the reviewer edit mode. It can either allow all the users, the reviewers, to make changes to the task directly, or force them to make changes only with change tracking. For example, now that I have suggest using change tracking active, my user Jane Doe can only make changes with this change tracking enabled. So anything will be recorded with change tracking, leaving the content author to later address this feedback either by accepting or rejecting them. Another way that was requested by some of our users was to only allow comments to be added on the content by the reviewers. So now the reviewer can no longer make any changes to the content, not even with change tracking. They can only add comments. This offers further flexibility to the to the content author to decide on how they need the feedback. For example, there are documents that can require further require multiple people to accept a new form of them. So they prefer this kind of feedback with comments, and then the content goes to an approval cycle to update the content itself. The main advantages of this real-time collaboration is that it drastically reduces the review cycles that the asynchronous review method previously had, as multiple SMEs and the author work on the same topic, no longer waiting for their turn. The live visibility of each other's edit lets the team align terminology, facts, and style on the spot. So basically, for example, if there was a typo in the previous workflows, all the content authors would fix the same typo on their instance of the content. But now, once one of them makes the fix, the others go over it. They no longer have to have effort on it. So the review cycle is much faster. This is more obvious in the release periods. For example, if previously this kind of review took days, maybe weeks, if multiple reviewers were involved, due to the real-time collaboration, this can be dropped to hours or maybe days, depending on the scale. So another thing that was hard for the content author to follow, besides the changes of the multiple users and so on, was the status of the review of each user. For example, if they had 5 SME involved in the review, they had to ask each of them periodically, have you done, are you finished with the review, and so on. But this was also an event that was badly received by the SMEs, this constant nagging and so on. So content authors were reluctant to make them, and it also continued to expand the time in which a task was achieved. So we also try to address this part by having the list of all the assigned SMEs and their status presented, or just a click away. And once all the sharing is done, I will try to focus on the SME review experience. As previously demonstrated, Jane received this task for review. She made some suggestions, and once she considers, she has gone through all the content and considers that the content is production ready. Just a second, I'll allow edits to be made on the documents. She can finalize her review, invoking this action, and offering a message informs the content author that one of the reviewers has finalized their job. The content author is now notified via email about this, in case they don't need to periodically check whether something changed in one of their review tasks. As you can see, the reviewer's status was updated for Jane Doe. If there were multiple users, Jane also had this information, who is she working with, in order to finalize this, to review this task. For example, maybe she considers that the content she's reviewing would also need to be checked by another colleague. So she can ask the task owner, that is also presented here, to add that person to the review, also enforcing the quality of the documentation. So as you can see, the UI is very familiar with the SME that previously most likely worked sometime with Google Word, Google Docs, Microsoft Word, and so on. So this offers a clean and familiar UI, and as it just requires the registration, it provides a friction-free engagement. For example, once the author has shared the task with them, they automatically receive an email notification that they were asked to review the content. They can directly access that task from any device, even a mobile phone, as in nowadays all devices have a browser installed, so they do not need for some, I don't know, tool that has to be installed and configured and other access rights and okay, so everything was designed to allow the subject matter expert to have the review take to offer the least friction and do not consume too much of their time. So they can, subject matter experts being busy with other tasks, they can quickly look through the documents, make the changes in a simple UI, and then once they finalized, they close the task and that's done. But as Jane Doe has finalized her review, other users will continue to make changes. For example, in this case, I will use the owner, but other SMEs can continue the work. So the current content is no longer reviewed by Jane. So she automatically receives an email that the content has been changed since she completed, and when she accesses the review task, now she has dedicated UI that allows her to review only the changes made since she finalized her review. So she doesn't need to go through the entire content again. As you can see, it was only one document change. I have a div button to see the changes. I can review them. Let's say I saw that this was a mistake. As I made changes to the task, my status was automatically marked as unfinalized. So the finalize my review button has again appeared. And I finalize my review again. Okay. So this was what we are trying to achieve. The engagement by convenience from the subject matter experts, so they don't no longer see the documentation review as a hurdle, but rather as a 5 minutes read. They can go over it and let it be. Okay. So now let's switch to the author workflow. As the last subject matter expert has finalized their review, we can now proceed in continuing to bring all these changes to the production as they were validated by the subject matter experts. But as being rather technical, usually the content needs a further review from the content author. That's why they are a team. So to prevent late uncontrolled edits by the subject matter experts, the content author will close the review. This will allow the task owners to make any changes that they consider necessary to have the content production worthy. They can check for any forgotten reviews that they needed to address. This being a sample document, I have quite a lot of them. So I'll say that and save this. And once the content author decides that this content is fine by them, also they can integrate the task. I created the task from Oxygen XML editor, so I will need to get the changes in the editor. I will get the changes. I will be presented with a diff to make sure that I see all the changes made, and this will also present the changes that were made to the documents since to the local documents since I have created the review task. For example, it took 3 days while I was working on other topics. I see that the changes are okay and I decide to apply them. So they will it will all be updated in my local instance that I can later decide to submit on the storage of my documentation. So let's say it's Git or something. Another direction that the content author can take is to decide that the content is not production worthy and they need to have the subject matter experts offer their review again. So I will reopen the review. This will notify Jane that was previously had this task marked as finalized that she needs to review again the content. And this cycle can be repeated. Often it's not needed due to the collaborative nature of these review tasks compared to the asynchronous review methods previously used. Another part that we felt the need for, especially when we had large review tasks, was to have the evolution of the task. For example, if there are 10 users working on this task, I want to see what changed since my review. So, for example, Jane that had finalized her review task previously, I will finalize it again, can see what changed since her on each document. For example, let's say I see that Juan de Mihai made some changes. I have a diff presented. I see that the changes then made were wrong, so I will go to the file, and if they are still of interest, I will make the corrections. I have the full history of the changes made by each of the subject matter experts. The content author can always see who has made the change. So basically, as the task owner, I can also download the task, and it will download it as a Git repository with commits for each change by each user. So we have an accurate audit trail in case that it is needed for compliance or to double check some information. To further extend the flexibility of this review workflow, Content Fusion supports the creation review task in multiple ways. Previously, I demonstrated the creation of a review task using Oxygen XML editor with some documents, but it also supports the creation of tasks from Content Fusion projects. This functionality is only available to users with the content author role, but I will not talk too much about this, but I will demonstrate how you can, on the demo instance, I get automatically created a demo project. This offers content management and publishing, but I will now focus only on the review capabilities on these projects. In projects, you can create tasks in two ways. I will create a new task. I will choose what files I want included in the task, like I previously used Oxygen editor. I'm now using directly the browser. I will choose the context data map as the publication flowers, and I will create this. It has all the review features of the previous tasks, but its integration workflow is different, as the project is directly linked in Content Fusion. After closing the review and polishing the content, the integration process is done directly in browser. I need to make some changes before this. I'll start the integration. I can see the changes made. I can decide which of the version I want. I will choose to keep the task changes or even make manual changes I want, and I will finish the integration. The task is marked as integrated, and if I go to the project content, I can see that the changes have already been submitted, and if I had a linked Git repository, it would also gotten committed on the repository. This being a demo project, I can link it later, but it's not the focus of this presentation. And another workflow that we wanted to cover was when the subject matter expert had to have the possibility to initiate a review task. For example, prior to this, we had the drafts written in a field in Jira that later our colleagues would copy to data, and they then ask us for review and so on. But it was easier if we allowed the subject matter expert to initiate this draft directly in the format, in the data format, even though it's transparent for them. So as a subject matter expert, I can create a draft review task, and I will create a new file for it. I will create a topic, feature, okay. And as a subject matter expert, once I have the content that I consider a draft, I can share it with the content author. But and they will be asked to, they will receive the invitation in the, just as I will better use Jane Doe account. So Jane Doe is now the content author. As a subject matter expert, I see that I have added the content author, and I will make them the owner to have full rights on this task. and maybe make myself a reviewer and show them I have finalized my review. And then the content author can pick up the content, continue collaborating on this review task once until the content is production worthy, and then integrate it. And once all this workflow is completed, you can be sure that the documentation is accurate and no and the clients get to have what they need to make sure that they understand the product and understand its value using its documentation. Okay, all what I have demonstrated today was on our demo instance of Content Fusion. You can either directly access it at fusion.oxygenxml.com or on the Content Fusion website. You can try it online, register, and so on. The main limitation is for this demo deployment that you do not have autocomplete for the users when sharing the task. You need to add by email. So the most accessible way is to share with a link. So if you want to try these features, it's best to use some demo content, not production or confidential data and so on but you can experience most of the functionality of Content Fusion without having to deploy your own instance of Content Fusion. You just, if you want to use it through the Oxygen XML editor, you can install the Content Fusion Task Manager add-on to get access to this side view. Okay, thank you. And if you have any questions, you feel free to ask them, and I will try to answer them as well as I can.
Thank you, Mihai, for today's presentation. Thank you for the use cases that you just presented to our audience. I think that you can keep the screen sharing, because we have some questions that might require a demo on your part. The first question sounds like this: can I have an overview with all the comments added in the review task on all files? And yeah.
Yes, I try to present that feature. Basically, we have the search side view that has the in reviews tab that presents all the track changes and comments. You can filter them by type. For example, if you want only the comments or you want only the inserts or deletes and so on, you can filter by author, by time. So this was another thing that we wanted to offer the content author so they can make sure that no track changes content is left in the documents, as they could reach production that it wasn't something okay. So we have this functionality.
Thank you, Mihai. We have a lot of congratulations coming your way. Rob thinks that it looks awesome. We have an excellent presentation with lots of very useful information, and many thanks from John. Another question sounds like this: will this recording be available to watch later? And yes, as stated in the beginning of today's presentation, yes, the recording will be made available in the following days on our site and on our YouTube channel, Oxygen XML. And of course, once you register to our events, we will send you a follow-up mail with all the information for you to access this recording. So no worries. Another question, does it support other file types besides data?
Basically, Content Fusion supports any XML format, and as well as Markdown. I think Markdown is limited for the review task from projects, but I'm not sure. Maybe my colleague Christy can help me on that. But
I think
its main target, its main document types are XML based at the moment, but we are planning to increase the types of documents you can directly edit in Content Fusion.
Yeah, currently we support only XML files in review tasks. But if you're interested in Markdown, we would be eager to discuss with you, because we also had some internal discussions about the Markdown support, and we are very eager to learn your use case.
And also, as a follow-up information, Oxygen XML editor automatically detects related resources such as included images or links, and it includes them as well in the review task. Maybe
Yes.
we can have a demo of this?
To be honest, I think it, for example, in this topic, I have an image. It was automatically picked up and is included in the bundle, so I can see the image in the review tasks. Yeah, as well as other connected resource. I think links will work. For example, this file, as it was referenced, was also bundled. It isn't in the files to review. You can see it as read-only, but you can also decide to edit it. For example, I know you can have the possibility to start it being edited, and it will automatically be added to files in review. Later, if the content also decides that this was not the scope of the review task, they can discard the changes. But it was something that clients needed to have the connecting files available.
Thank you so much for completing this answer with your additional information and with your presentation. And again, Mihai, thank you for today's event, for making it possible. I know we were discussing about this event at the beginning of the year, so I'm excited. I will take control over the screen sharing. And also, I think that we can again start our webcams just to see each other again, because now it came down to the ending of our today's event. I always advise everyone to take a look from time to time on our events page. You can see the link here on oxygenxml.com, because we will be adding future events, future live events, webinars, webinars like this one, or the conferences where the Oxygen XML team will be present in person. So thank you, Mihai, And of course, thank you, Christy, for helping us with by answering our audience's questions in real time. And again, I mentioned that the recording will be made available in the following days. So keep registering to our events, and we will notify you as soon as they are up on our site. If you want to add something else in closing, Mihai?
Just if you get the chance to experience Content Fusion and its workflow, if you have any feedback that you want to share with us, you can write to us at support@oxygenxml.com. It will be directed by my colleagues to our team, and we will try to incorporate your feedback in improving the product. And the rest, have a nice day, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.